My farewell thank you to President Obama for all of his unspeakable gifts he's left with me. By Diane Hanks LaCour. My dearest President Obama, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for so many unintended gifts you have given me these past few years. From the first time I saw you as a candidate for President of the United States, standing on a platform outside with other candidates, all with their hands over their hearts in honor of the United States flag, you stood there defiantly, willfully and deliberately aloof, with your hands clasped in front and eyes wandering. I stood there baffled at how someone vying for the highest office of this great nation could be so disrespectful, and you renewed my love of everything my flag stands for. Thank you so much for that. You renewed my sense of patriotism to a level I hadn't known it could grow. Little did I realize that was only the beginning of so many gifts you would leave me with. Now I look at my country's flag and increasingly see the sacrifice of those who every day put their lives in harm's way to ensure it still waves as a beacon of hope to all who are oppressed. Thank you. When you stopped honoring Eagle Scouts, who until your administration would receive a flag flown over the White House, along with a letter of congratulations from the President of the United States, you renewed my gratitude for the scouting program and how hard those young men and their families work to achieve greatness at such a young age. So thank you also for that. When you further desecrated my flag by emblazoning your image on it, you renewed my fervor and inspired me to research the proper way to treat our flag and how to behave in its presence. You unwittingly reminded me of my love for our government of the people, by the people, and for the people, guided by principles that never change, but with leaders that always do, because of our right and responsibility to participate in the process. You gave me a great gift, seeing how ridiculous it is to hold up a single man as someone to worship and plaster their image all over buildings and such, like they do in communist countries. When you surrounded yourself with czars who were determined to strip our country of its world status as the greatest nation on the planet, you showed me why America is different, why she glows with freedom, not oppression, and helps other nations to strive for that as well. When you removed the bust of Winston Churchill from the Oval Office and promptly returned it to our greatest ally, you inadvertently reminded me that nothing in that White House is yours to do anything with. It's ours, we the people, except to choose a china pattern and decorate it to the current president's liking. Thank you for the reminder of how precious and fragile our relationship is with Britain. When your fiscal policies grew so irresponsible that our country's deficit grew so massive it felt it had no other choice but to monetize its own debt by printing funny money not secured with gold, you renewed in me the value of $1. When our country's credit rating was downgraded for the first time, you showed me that if a leader is not willing to actually lead by example, someone else will gladly take the realm, so to always be on our toes and be sharp. I thank you for that nudge too. When your wife said that for the first time in her adult life she was proud of our country, you made me realize that I always had been proud of our country and my fellow citizenry until they elected you, understanding it was them who put you there and certainly not by any grace of your unachieved accomplishments. They didn't even know who you were. You were merely a symbol, and they, in their desire to show how not racist we are as a nation anymore, they were willing to ignore all warning signs that anyone with eyes to see could see. Their vote to make history by electing the first African American to the highest office of the land revealed our truly repentant hearts for our ancestors' mistakes, with a greater desire for love, wisdom, and grace to unite as brothers and sisters under one God, no matter our differences. We are that people who want to heal, who want to mend, and who want to move to a place of true acceptance and love of our fellow man. Thank you for revealing that. When your wife continually showed as much of flesh as her skin as possible, even a bare midriff, in public as First Lady, and went on and on about her arms, you swelled my love for modesty and grace as a woman. Her lack of self-respect and lack of respect for foreign cultures that actually abide by not looking upon another man's wife's body reminded me how important how we dress is. It does make a difference in how we feel and how others feel about us. Thank you for reminding me how important the role of First Lady is, and what a blessing she can be, if an example of true womanhood. Because she did not exhibit 1 ounce of true femininity or decency, she awakened my understanding of decorum and what is appropriate. When she threw Oprah under the bus after all she did to put you there in the first place, she reminded me how wonderful it is to have true friends that are loyal, who don't just use each other and then discard them after they've taken all they want. I treasure my true friends more than ever by watching how you mistreat those who thought they were yours. Thank you. When she declared an edict on high-calorie foods for others, but consumed all the rich foods every chance she got, she demonstrated what the height of hypocrisy is and how important it is to be a person of conviction, even when no one is watching. When she purchased a $40,000 bracelet, but criticized another for something lavish they were wearing, she reminded me how fun it is to wear beautiful jewelry and that sometimes it's okay to splurge on yourself. Thank you for that. She reminded me of the evil it is to compare ourselves with others, pointing judgmental fingers which inadvertently reveals our own shortcomings. She exemplified the principle of how you can never have enough if your goal is to always have more than others. When she took her young daughter on exorbitant and unnecessary vacations on our dime, requiring hundreds of security detail, and while the people whose money she was spending without any thought would not be able to take any vacation because of their dire financial situation, she reminded me that life is not fair and no attempt to make it so would ever actually work. Not only did she increase my desire to travel to exotic places, but she reminded me that I may never see the world if things continue the way they are going. Thank you for that. When my daughter stopped talking to me because of our disagreements over you as a president, it made me realize her vote would cancel mine. I realized that some principles transcend genetics. We only get 1 vote, but that we all get 1 vote, and as such you reminded me how it is precious. Thank you for that. You reminded me that every person's vote matters and that no one can let go by the opportunity and privilege it is to vote. When my son couldn't make it on his own and had to move back in with a father he despises after he graduated from high school, you gave me the gift of realizing how important it is to have an education along with the means to stand on your own 2 feet, and how humiliating and enslaving it is to have to live by someone else's rules when you so desperately feel like an adult. Thank you for reminding me how precious having choices in life is. Every time you stumbled in speech when you weren't on a teleprompter, you gave me a great gift of not only how important it is to be able to think on your feet, but also how important it is to think, do, and be an honorable person. So that in any situation and any time, if you always tell the truth, you never have to cover your tracks or backpedal. How exhausting that must be. I appreciate you more than ever for that. The way you always pander to whatever audience you're speaking to, even changing accents, reminded me how fun it is to talk in different accents. I love doing that too. Isn't it wonderful that we live in a world with such diversity and different cultures? How boring life would be if we all looked alike, dressed alike, danced alike, and sounded alike. An Irish accent here and there is just awesome. I've incorporated more of that in my own daily speech, and people think it's a riot. Thank you for that. Walt Disney did that too with birds' voices in his famous tiki room, and no one ever uttered racist for such appreciation of culture. That's what makes the world go round. Viva la différence! When you declared transparency, but proved with your record that only backdoor, secret, classified deals that get shoved through with no regard for what the people want, you reminded me how truly great having many perspectives weighing in can be. By only listening to people who are yes men and surrounding yourself with adoring fans, you proved how vital it is to keep people of differing views nearby so that one doesn't suffer from a false sense of self. The emperor was not actually wearing any clothes. You also showed me how disgusting it is to be so narcissistic and how toxic it is for everyone. Thank you for illustrating to the nth degree how quickly corruption can spread and how important it is to get rid of the cancer of corruption as soon as it begins, before it becomes a festering pustule of filth, as you now have stinking up your entire administration with its stench. Really, thank you for that. Thanks for lying about all the important details of your life and trying to pass off numerous falsehoods, showing that people really prefer to believe in fairy tales over truth, preferring laziness over research. When you said, in one of those great cultural accents of yours, to a Selma, Alabama audience, how you had Selma to thank for your parents getting together there at that famous march in 1965, and later Barack Obama Jr. was born, it was great to know that, in fact, you were born 4 years before that, in 1961. You know, it's really something how you believe in the stupidity of Americans, constantly underestimating us, thinking that we are without teeth or brains, or just nod our heads in a haze of awe at your magnificence. I appreciate more than ever how astonishing our technology is, and what a wondrous age of knowledge at the click of a mouse, as compared with the tedious nature of having to lug books around. I also now appreciate more than ever my own documents, my birth certificate, my college transcripts, my childhood friends, and photos that show the amazing life I've led so far. Thank you for showing me in that split second that truth matters in spite of how much we love good stories. Thank you for inspiring so very many fellow patriots to become creative in their methods of revealing the truth about you. It's really a treasure to have such things in common with so many. You've blessed us all in feeling like we have something to add to the conversation. Prolific artists like John McNaughton have unleashed truly inspired works of art that would never have been made possible without you, really. Thank you for inserting your name in children's history books alongside other presidents' history, as though you had anything to do with theirs. How you can make everything about you makes telling jokes about how many people it takes to screw in a light bulb that much more funny. The fact that you actually believe the world revolves around you is so amusing to me. I thought I understood narcissism in theory, but you, good heavens, you may actually have dictionaries include you as the pinnacle poster boy for it without you forcing them to, like you did their childhood history books. What a real life example. Thank you for solidifying the importance of religion, our relationship with Israel, godly principles, and the Holy Bible's teachings in my life, and of recognizing Jesus Christ as the only Savior. Having those anchors in my life makes it so easy not to be swayed by fearmongers or loudmouth icks. Knowing I don't have to fear or please anyone but God Himself makes it a piece of cake to not bat an eyelash at those who mock and trample God's commandments underfoot. Watching you attempt to please any and all groups who are desperate for approval of their wickedness shows me how exhausting it must be to be thrust about by the wind or fists of dollars. Bad guys never support each other in the end. I've seen a zillion movies. Spoiler alert, they always turn on each other. It's no surprise. So thank you for shining up my sterling devotion to truth, God, and my right to express that through religious practice. It's really a sight to behold people of all different faiths stand together as one instead of bicker over doctrine they disagree with. Even Billy Graham weighed in at 94 years old. We haven't heard from him in ages, and we might not have if it weren't for you. We have you to thank for that. Bless you. If it weren't for you, I never would have discovered the magnificent enigma that is Glenn Beck. He is hysterical and truly a highlight of my days now. He's something of an inspirational wonder and delights me to the core. His impassioned pleas ignite the fires of highest living standards in me and countless others. Part preacher, part dad, part irreverent, sarcastic man, part master teacher, part historian, part loyal friend, part honorable employer, part New York hater, part Texas lover, part world traveler, part Israel champion, part devoted husband, part crybaby, part fashionista, part recovering alcoholic, part prolific visionary, part dreamscaper, part sweets lover, part ice cream enthusiast, part activist, part political pundit, part Broadway actor, part mentor, and full freedom lover. He and his antics move me to bouts of laughter, mounds of tears, and best of all, to action. Before you came on the scene, I was content to never watch TV, never watch the news, never hold my leaders accountable, never reach out to voice my opinion when injustice would happen. Just live in my own little world, creating my own videos for my YouTube channels that uplift and inspire others. After my own divorce and losing all I ever held dear, I realized how important it was to take the time to heal and look inward and upward for my sense of purpose and validation, but to reach outward to help others. You did all that for me. How could I ever thank you enough? Without you, I would never have discovered how much I appreciate the wise opinions of seemingly at first glance curmudgeons like Bill O'Reilly and Charles Krauthammer. I really, really love their opinions, but didn't even know they existed before you. Imagine that. Thank you for bringing my dad and I closer in their discovery, since I didn't even have a TV and would have to watch it at my parents' house. I, by osmosis, started watching what he was watching, at first in horror as they argued over one another, but then a swell of gratitude for their willingness to show a spine and bravery of using big boy words that intelligent adults could understand. I love that they don't talk down to me, and I never would have known there was anything of value on TV still if it weren't for you. Thank you for that. Thank you for tucking the mainstream media in bed with you every night. It's nice to know there are 3 channels I used to love as a kid that I never have to watch anymore. The cutest one with the little peacock gives me a sense of nostalgia as I recall how much I loved it as a little girl. Since their full conversion to corruption, I never have to sully myself with 1-minute segments of their lies, and you can imagine how great that feels to be free of that. Imagine how people can't sleep at night who let that filth percolate in their cells, steeping their own value so far away from God. They must just feel numbness anymore. Thanks to you, I feel alive and vibrant and get a great night's sleep. Thank you, thank you, thank you, President Obama. As you can see, I've just scratched the surface for things I'm grateful to you for. Really, I could go on and on. But more examples of the myriad of gifts you've bestowed on me would just be fodder. I have to say, this next and final one takes the cake. As your parting days wind to an end, this last gift will forever punctuate your administration. Thank you for showing me what a true American hero looks like. The former Navy SEALs who attempted rescue in Benghazi, in spite of direct orders to stand down, show me what unspeakable bravery and courage look like. Their ultimate sacrifice in service of their fellow patriots, who also gave the fullest measure of their lives in torture and death, restore my faith in humanity and manhood when compared to your glaring cowardice. The way you dodge, duck, and point fingers at others is just classic you. It's really quite remarkable how next to you and your puny, evil vision, their goodness and integrity shine like the sun at noontime. Thank you so much for providing the ultimate comparison. Opposition in all things brings the height of contrast. Thank you for providing a measurement on the wrong side. It makes the right choice crystal clear. Usually, when making choices, I tend to waffle, but you, because of your quintessential example of all that is wrong, illuminates how simple it is not to choose you or anyone around you or any organization you champion. You're like the opposite of the Midas touch. Everything you touch turns to corruption. Thanks for making choosing the right so very simple. Tomorrow morning, when I go into that voting booth, my heart will swell, not for revenge as you feel, but with love of my country, concern for its future, and with that gift of gratitude for the privilege and the right to vote as a red-blooded American citizen like my brave ancestors who paved the way for me did. The color of the red stripes on the American flag I see tomorrow at the polling station will remind me that much blood was shed for my right to be there as recently as a few weeks ago in Benghazi. I may be only one person, but I am one, and the more people who also have received the many gifts you also left them, our quiet, fervent, whispered, determined, united voice will give you a gift in return. Thank you so very much. P.S. Maybe you should leave the gift giving to Santa. I hear he's quite the expert.